Hi everyone, my name is Aisha. Welcome to my channel, Ginger Yoda. Today's video is going to be a 2-year follow-up on a series that I started literally 2 years ago, almost to the date. I started August of 2015 to chronicle my journey with switching from a traditional medication for epileptic seizures to a more holistic, natural medication using CBD hemp oil, CBD tincture. And so I did about 4 videos 2 years ago from day 1, I believe, through day 10. And on day 10, I actually had a seizure on the tincture that I had started with. So I essentially stopped. And I feel that it's really important to let you know where I am 2 years later. So today's video is a 2-year update on my epileptic seizures, controlling them with CBD tincture, hemp oil tincture. I hope you enjoy, and I hope that it's informative. Okay, so I was diagnosed with epileptic seizures about 3 years ago. And if you look at my previous videos, I talk a little bit about what happened. For me, I wasn't born with seizures. They believe that my seizures have come on because of head trauma. I had 2 head traumas that I didn't even really think about until my neurologist said, yeah, these are from head. And as I thought about what may have caused the seizures and the severe head trauma that he mentioned, that was what brought them on, I kind of reflected back and I realized that I had 3 kind of major head traumas as an adult, as a teenager through adulthood, and 1 as a child. As a teenager, I was in a really bad head-on collision on the freeway. And it was very traumatic and it was very aggressive. But you know what? I walked away from it. I was fine. So it never really occurred to me that this could have happened. At the time when I got all the x-rays, everything was fine. The second one was something where I fell from a pretty high place on the back and hit the back of my head. Another one was I was running and I slipped and again fell backwards and hit the back of my head really bad. So those were the 3 adult head traumas that I could isolate, that I could kind of figure out. And then as a child, when I was a child, I ran head on into one of those cranking windows that we used to have back in the day. The window opened up and I was running, looking down, and just gashed my head open. So those were the 4 head traumas that I could think of that really just kind of popped into my head, and I thought, okay, maybe this was it. When I first went to the neurologist, and they determined that I was epileptic, that I had abnormal left frontal lobe activity, and that's what was causing my seizures. I was surprised because I'm a super healthy person. I didn't understand how it could have happened, and then they told me how it could have happened. But after several months of different cocktails and different medications, and when I say cocktails, I mean, changing the dosages of something, I just realized that I could not be on the seizure medication. I mean, it was just knocking me out. I'm a very active person. I'm very animated. I have a lot of energy. I'm kind of always going. So being on these, I'm not saying that they kind of turned me into a zombie, but I just didn't feel like myself, and nothing worked. And the neurologist kept saying, well, try this one and try this one. And at a certain point, I thought that my neurologist was just kind of shoving me through full of pharmaceuticals from his pharmaceutical reps that he was getting. I just thought I was just kind of being a guinea pig to try out these different medications, which not only did they make me feel really crappy, but they didn't work. In my opinion, they didn't work. Having a seizure every 10 days or every month just wasn't, it didn't seem worth it to be taking the medication. Now, I mean, I know that it is, because I know every time you have a seizure, it does crazy things to your brain. So I know that having seizures are bad, but I just couldn't take the medications. So I started out with a CBD oil. My brother is a nurse, and he had a friend up in Northern California whose child was epileptic. And so she was experimenting with making different CBD oils. So I first decided to start CBD oils. My brother contacted his friend, and she sent me this gigantic jar of a CBD oil. And it was with the vegetable glycerin, CBD. So this is what I started taking when I started to do my original videos. At day 10, I had a seizure, and it just really disappointed me. And that was just like, I didn't know, I couldn't move forward with it. So what I found out about a week after that video is that she had sent this CBD tincture, this CBD oil, to a lab to test it for CBD. Well, it had hardly any CBD trace in it. Well, that was why I was having seizures. I was taking this medication twice a day, hoping for the best, but as it turns out, it had relatively zero CBD oil in it. So I did a ton of research here where I am in San Diego to find some place that I could get a CBD tincture. For whatever reason, about 2 years ago, it seemed like it was a little bit more difficult to find what I actually needed. And now I know that you can find all kinds of stuff online. You can find hemp oils and hemp tinctures and different types of things online. So what I found was a local company that makes this CBD tincture. Now, if you'll notice, it says 320 milligrams CBD and 15 milligrams of THC. Of course, THC is the psychedelic active ingredient in marijuana, which is something that I didn't want at all. I didn't want to be taking this and have any type of side effects from it other than it controlling my seizures. So I will link where I purchased this. I did have to get a medical card to purchase this, which was very, very easy to get. I don't know how many other states are, but here in California, it was very, very easy to get. I went into a storefront. There was a doctor there. I told him what I was using it for, and he gave me the medical recommendation card. So for the last 2 years, I have been using this CBD tincture. I'll link where I get it. I'm also going to link photographs of what this looks like and what the ingredients are in the back. Okay, this bottle is 1 fluid ounce, and the dropper amount that I take daily is 8 milligrams. 1 dropper full, which is 8 milligrams a day. And this bottle generally lasts me for a month. And let me tell you, this stuff tastes horrible. It tastes horrible. And I mix it with like a juice, like an orange juice or something. I don't usually have juices around, but I almost always have a tomato juice because I love my Bloody Marys. So I'll just put a dropper full in a tomato juice, in a low sodium tomato juice, so like a tomato juice. My seizures have improved 100%. And when I say that, I mean 100%, I guess, would be 0 seizures. I don't have 0 seizures, but I may have a seizure every maybe 3 months instead of a couple times a month, or even once a week. So this has helped me tremendously. I've also learned over the years some things that trigger me, and I'm still having a really hard time really nailing it down because it just seems so random. So one thing that I know for absolute certain is when I drink wine, I can feel it starting to come on. If I just have like a glass of wine, so I've completely eliminated wine from my diet. I've also noticed that if I don't eat properly, I'm a vegetarian. I actually consider myself a vegan, but because I have chickens, I do eat my chickens' eggs, so I can't, formally say that I'm a vegan. But when I find that I'm not eating properly, because you can eat really improperly as a vegan, like you can eat really bad food. If you're eating potatoes and french fries and potato chips, well, yeah, those are all vegan, but they're really bad for you. So I do notice if I'm not eating really healthy, that could trigger something. And I mean, getting my greens, getting my omega-3s, getting everything that I need. Another trigger that I kind of notice is if I don't exercise regularly, it really does affect me. So those are 3 triggers that I've learned and realized and tried to control. Because being an epileptic, there's not a lot that you control, but when you realize some things that might trigger you, you can absolutely control that. And so that's been kind of a saving grace for me, is figuring out the things that may trigger me. So it's 2 years later. As of right now, the CBD tincture works really wonderfully for me. Again, I will link it, but not having them on a regular basis has just really improved my quality of life because it was just knocking me out. So if you have any questions at all about this, please leave comments. I'm happy to talk with anybody about anything or any questions that you have to see if I can help answer. I hope that this, shed a little bit of light into a non-traditional medication for seizures. But what I found, it's worked for me. And in the cases and all the research that I've done, it works tremendously on various levels of seizures and epilepsy. I hope this helped you a little bit. I hope I can answer any questions for you that you need. Please subscribe if you already haven't, and have a wonderful day.